Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Jeannie Doig, naturopathic doctor, and this is my lovely colleague, Dr. Tonia Winchester, naturopathic doctor as well. We both practice on Vancouver Island. I practice in Port Alberni and Tofino, and Tonia practices in Nanaimo. Today, we are going to discuss ways to manage depression and anxiety. We thought this is a hot topic during these unprecedented times.
Yeah. Hi, I'm happy to be here. I'm going to ask you a question to begin, Jeannie. Let's just start with nutrition because it's such a key player when it comes to healing our body and helping our minds. So what foods do you recommend eating or even avoiding to boost mood?
That's a great question, Tonia. So one thing I want to emphasize is the importance of eating regularly. When blood sugars drop, the body becomes more anxious. You get lightheaded, dizzy, inability to concentrate and think, and this will trigger the cortisol level to go up and trigger anxiety. So really important you eat at least every 4 hours, and it's important your meals consist of proteins, good fats, and lots of vegetables. So a well-balanced whole foods diet. If you eat sugar and processed foods at your meals, your blood sugars are going to drop again very quickly and cause the anxiety and the cortisol to spike. The other thing that's really important to avoid for anxiety especially is caffeine. So caffeine will boost adrenaline. So especially coffee and black tea, I suggest avoiding if you have anxiety. But one alternative you could try to coffee is green tea or matcha. Matcha is 10 times the strength of green tea. So 1 teaspoon of matcha is like drinking 10 cups of green tea. Now this has caffeine in it, but what it also has in it is something called theanine, which lowers adrenaline. So it actually makes you feel calm. And Zen monks and in Japan and Asia, they drink green tea all day long and it makes them feel very relaxed and calm and focused. So that's a great way to change your coffee into something that wouldn't stimulate you so much and help with the anxiety.
Yeah, it's always so interesting that people don't connect the two. And that's one thing that I'm always screening for my patients with anxiety. It's, well, let's talk about your coffee. And even if they're like, oh, I just have 1 cup in the morning, for some bodies, it's just too much, right?
Exactly. Yes. For sensitive people with anxiety, it's too much.
Yeah. And you know what? I have a husband who's a giant. He's 6'4" and about 220 pounds or something. And he's a very slow coffee detoxifier. He doesn't have anxiety, but he knows that if he drinks coffee past about 9 a.m., he won't be able to sleep that night. And so even for a guy that big, it's still a problem. So that's awesome. So you mentioned the theanine in the green tea and the matcha. I love that. It's such a nice balancing molecule.
Yes.
On that topic, do you have any favorite nutritional supplements or herbal remedies that you like to suggest?
So you can actually get theanine in a capsule form as well. So I suggest theanine for a lot of patients with anxiety. And for sleep, it's good too. So taking that a few times a day. Lavender is another great one. So this can come actually in a pill form. And lavender has been shown in scientific studies to work just as well as the anti-anxiety drug paroxetine. So it really helps with anxiety and with sleep as well. So this one's another favorite. And the matcha, of course, which I mentioned. And just a tincture with herbs in it that help you feel calm and that help improve the GABA in the brain, which is your neurotransmitter to help you relax. So those herbs include passion flower, valerian, lemon balm, hops, all those herbs, chamomile are great for helping the body to relax.
Yes,
also a few B vitamins too. If you from more like depression and you need to boost serotonin, B6, B12, B5, folic acid all help as well to help you make serotonin so you don't feel as depressed. So there's so many tools in our toolbox to help.
Yes, I know. I love making custom tincture blends for people, and it's so nice to be able to offer herbal. I think plant medicine is so powerful. And you mentioned serotonin and GABA. Do you want to talk a little bit about the neurotransmitters in our brain and what they do for our moods?
Yes, so I want to discuss 2 different types of neurotransmitters. There's excitatory neurotransmitters and there's inhibitory neurotransmitters. The excitatory neurotransmitters are the ones including serotonin, which helps with your moods, helps you feel happy. But if you have too much serotonin, you get anxious, and too little serotonin, you feel depressed. There's another one called dopamine, which is responsible for your drive, ambition, your ability to get through the day. So again, if it's too low, you just feel like blah. And if it's too high, you feel anxious. The other one, excitatory ones that are really important are adrenaline and noradrenaline. So definitely you need a substantial amount to have energy, but if you have too much, again, you're just wired and off the wall too anxious. So it's important that these excitatory neurotransmitters are balanced with the inhibitory neurotransmitters, which help them kind of level them down. Those ones, the most important inhibitory neurotransmitter is GABA. So GABA just balances the other ones if they're too high. So if you don't have enough GABA, you could be in trouble with anxiety. So you can actually take GABA as a nutritional supplement. And you can also take herbs, like I mentioned, lemon balm, lavender, passion flower help stimulate the GABA. As well, one really important thing for women is that when they go through perimenopause and menopause, the progesterone levels go down in the body, which affects the GABA. The GABA is related to the hormone progesterone. So many women, over 50%, experience insomnia and anxiety during perimenopause and menopause. And this is because of the declining progesterone, which is affecting the GABA.
Awesome. So important to know about all these little details.
Yeah, and it's intricate. So each patient can be treated on an individual level because we can actually test these hormones in patients and these neurotransmitters too. So giving a patient an individualized plan that will work for them, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly, exactly.
So Tonia, I would like you to discuss more about hormones and how they play into the moods as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to start with the big one that you've probably heard about, which is cortisol. Cortisol is released from the adrenal glands when we are stressed. So when the brain has decided that there is some sort of threat, cortisol is released into the bloodstream, and it has a number of different effects and impacts. From a physiological perspective, its job is to rev us up so we're ready to fight or flee a situation. So that means increase in blood pressure, increase in heart rate, increase in breathing rate. Muscles are going to get lots of blood sugar in them, and our brain is going to get access to more blood sugar. And so we're primed to survive this situation. On the opposite side of things, cortisol is going to decrease our digestive function, which is huge because a lot of our serotonin is actually produced in the gut, and we need a healthy functioning gut to produce that feel-good serotonin. Our immune system also goes down, and the other thing that happens when cortisol is elevated is most of our other hormones like progesterone, testosterone, even progesterone, did I say that right? Estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone all go down. And it's like the body is prioritizing surviving the stress or the threat over. So we go into survival mode over what I like to call, thrival mode, or where we actually feel good in our lives. So cortisol is this sort of bully hormone that sort of supersedes and overrides what the other hormones are doing. And it's really important to keep this in mind, that one of the things we need to do when we're feeling anxious, which is sort of an elevated nervous system state, or depressed, which is sort of a under-functioning nervous system state, is we need to figure out where that balance is. And the hormones play a really key role in that balance.
Mm-hmm. So what function does routine play in balancing moods and hormones?
Yeah, so having a steady, stable, predictable, reliable routine is actually one of the best things that we can do for our adrenals and our adrenal health. So you mentioned regular meals and stabilizing blood sugar, and that's one of the best ways that we can support the adrenals. The adrenals are going to release cortisol, like I say, in times of stress, and one of their main jobs is to put blood sugar into, or to put sugar into the bloodstream. Now, if we can keep a nice steady routine, so morning wake up time is the same, meal times are the same, bedtime is the same, even when we're exercising the same, it's like one less variable that the body has to adapt to. So keeping our blood sugar stable with good meals full of healthy proteins, lots of fiber, healthy fats, it's causing less fluctuations that the body then needs to sort of, we need to create a response to this, we need to adapt to this. So predictability is one of the key things. It really takes the load out of the system. So especially now when our routines are kind of messed up, as much as possible, creating a schedule for yourself so that you can, have times throughout the day that and your body knows things are going to be happening.
I like to liken cortisol to, and balancing cortisol to being a baby. So babies need strict routine to thrive, right? They need to be in bed at the same time. They need to eat at the same time. They need this and to thrive. And when we're in a state of, when we're fragile and in a state of cortisol imbalance, what we really need is just that routine again, like we had when we were babies.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a good analogy. It's perfect.
So tell me any techniques as well that you can suggest when things are intense and you need to calm your mood and calm your anxiety.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have those types of tools in our toolkit. So my two favorite things are, one, just breathing into the belly. And as you breathe in, you want to imagine that your belly is moving away from the spine and your ribs are moving out to the side. So we have this sort of three-dimensional expansion of the chest and also the abdomen when we breathe. And something really simple that you can try is called box breathing. So if you were to imagine that you're going to breathe in for a count of 4 and then hold for a count of 4 and then breathe out for a count of 4 and then hold for a count of 4. So that rhythm is really going to slow down your system, take you out of that fight or flight mode we were talking about and back into the rest and digest and heal mode. So box breathing. So I would come to that and maybe do, 5 to 10 of those types of cycles of breathing, especially if you're experiencing really acute stress, acute anxiety, or even panic attacks. That's something that can really help your body calm down. The other is something that I call worry washing, and it's a technique that I pulled out of a book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. He doesn't call it this, it's my name for it. Essentially, though, the idea in this book is that we have sort of a threshold of how good we can feel in our lives based on a number of factors that he goes into in the book. And one of the symptoms that we're out of our threshold of feeling good is worrying and being anxious. So the idea is that when you identify, being conscious is the first step. So you have to identify, oh, I'm having some anxious thoughts, or I'm feeling stressed, or I'm really starting to worry right now. Imagining that all of those worrisome thoughts are attached to a big bowling ball and it's heavy and it just drops right out of your body. And so because and so it's like a big letting go. And so because the idea is that the worrisome thought is preventing you from feeling good, you ask yourself, what is the new positive thing that's trying to come into being? Because the theory is that the worry is kind of trying to block you from something that's like bubbling up that might feel really good. So imagine the thoughts on the ball, they drop out of your body. What's the new positive thing that's trying to come into being? And spend time breathing and listening to what that thing might be. So those are two techniques that I really like. They're simple, you can do them anywhere, and they're free, of course. Yeah.
That's great, Tonia. I love it. We'll have to include the link for the book and the author at the end of on our Facebook pages at the end of this talk.
Sure. And I was just seeing that we had some viewers on Facebook, and we did have a question, which I think maybe we'll cover on a different call, perhaps. So if anyone else viewing has any questions about depression or anxiety specifically, let us know in the Facebook comments and we'll happy to address them. Otherwise, we will wrap up for the day.
Yeah, thank you everyone. We're planning to do this every Saturday at 10 and go live and discuss a different health topic that is relevant during these times. So next Saturday, we're going to discuss sleep. So we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you, Tonia.
Yes, thanks, Dr. Jeannie.
Thank you. So